Oh, wait a second. I did it wrong. Did I do this?
It
Okay.
says recording, you're fine.
I am recording. I, I wish I could edit these things, but we don't edit. So what you see is what you get. Today, you get to see Dr. Joel Fuhrman. We're going to be talking about how to have a Nutritarian holiday. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, Dr. Fuhrman. One of these days, I'm going to get you to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. Welcome here to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air. And if this is the first time that you are tuning in, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, the question I always ask when Dr. Fuhrman is in the classroom is, have you had your G-bombs today? Because if you haven't, you'll want to do so after the class today. Since 2015, world-renowned author, doctor, New York Times bestselling author, I must add, and researcher, Dr. Joel Fuhrman has been sharing evidence-based science on nutrition and what we call, and he calls, a Nutritarian lifestyle. But have you ever wondered what is on the table at the Fuhrman household when they're celebrating a holiday? Well, today, Dr. Fuhrman has picked out some of his favorite holiday recipes, or just his favorite recipes. Who says you have to eat like it's a holiday only in holidays? We can eat like kings and queens and princesses all year round. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Joel Fuhrman is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Fuhrman. It's so nice to see you.
Great to be here. Great
Yes.
to talk to all your lovely people, listeners.
Yes, and viewers too. And for those of you who are watching today, if you have a question, type in a Q and write your question down, and we will ask it throughout the broadcast. So Dr. Fuhrman, I have to start. We didn't have a lot of time to kind of talk and chit chat before the class today, but I just want to acknowledge you. You did an awesome job for the PBS special. It was an honor to be there and witness you being remarkable and phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
How did it feel?
It felt good, and and thank you for coming. You know, it was really interesting because you have to like prepare and time out your script to see how long it's going to take for 3 20-minute segments. But I didn't realize that there would be so much audience reaction and participation and such enthusiasm that made it take longer. So I had to wait till the clapping to stop and the yelling and the cheering and all that stuff when they told all the success stories. So it was really great. It was very, very a powerful, moving experience, I think. There was electricity in that room.
There was. We probably gave you 10 standing ovations.
Really, wow.
Yeah. So it was like,
It's going to be a great show.
I am looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that there's a glimpse of me somewhere in the audience when the DVD comes out.
Oh, for sure. When you watch, they'll show it on TV 1,000 times, and you'll be there. People will be seeing your face over and over again.
But do you think they can put Lillian McDermott radio show listen live at whenyouneedafriend.com every time you see
I'm
me?
sure they will. I'm sure they have that planned in the script already.
Well, I tell you what, I know that we have a lot to talk about today, so let's get at it. Tell us, Dr. Fuhrman. Oh, and we're giving away a book, and the book is called Eat for Health. Do you want to show it, Dr. Fuhrman? This is a copy.
Yes,
I don't have.
This book is one of my favorite books, of course. It's especially great because it has everything in it, all the science, and it takes people through different steps of dietary excellence. And it's got like such incredible recipes. Like my favorite recipes are in this book. So it's like a whole thick book with a big recipe section too. You know what I mean?
How many recipes do you have there?
I think it's about 100 recipes in here.
That's nice. You know, that's 90 more than what we normally make on a regular basis. So we can pick, 10 of our favorite recipes and alternate them. And then
there's a whole month of menus too.
A whole month of menus. That's awesome. So for those of you who would like a copy of this book, I've started doing something different. Instead of saying the ninth texter, instant messenger, or whatever, just everybody who wants this book, send me an instant message, and I will put your name in a little, we're going to pick your name out at random. So everybody has a chance. How many books are we giving away today, Dr. Fuhrman?
Why don't we give away 3?
3 books. So 3 of you will have a book. So everybody that's watching today.
It's the holidays. I might as well be.
That's right. That's right. Who says?
Go for it all. 3 books.
3 books. We're giving away 3 books. There's a lot of people watching today. So make sure you send me your information at Lillian's radio show. So you can do that, or you can text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. Robert, if you want to write that number down, so just in case you just would rather text me. Either way, you'll get your name in this little giveaway at random. Eat for Health.
All the holiday recipes are in this book. How they can use these for the holidays.
Yes. So anyone who wants, you need to private message me. It's 407 or instant message me at Lillian's radio show on Facebook. So, okay, Dr. Fuhrman, we have lots of questions from leftover from last month, but we're going to focus on the Nutritarian holiday and the Nutritarian table. So what are some of the recipes and what page are they on, so that when we get our book, because I know I'm going to be on that list of getting a book. Right. Okay, so.
Well, look, I just want to begin by saying that 2 things.
Okay.
Number one, most heart attacks and strokes occur around the holidays. Mm-hmm. When people gain weight and eat a lot of garbage, that's when you put on weight and you put on fresh juvenile plaque, it's called. Ooh. And the fresh plaque that's newly laid down is the most dangerous. So when people rapidly gain weight, they go away on a cruise, they come back, they have a heart attack, they die. Ooh. So, and we're around other people more. So this is the time to wear your fanciest studs. You know what I mean by that? I mean, make your best Nutritarian recipes.
Yes.
Bring them to the holiday. That's your fanciest studs. Share these healthy recipes, because you have something to eat and you set an example. You set a role model with other people, and you're sharing your love and your goodwill for others when you eat healthy at the holidays, because people are looking at you for an example. You're the role model. And if you're recreating with food and committing suicide with food, chancing your life with food, they think, well, if he's not even doing it or she's not doing it, then why should I even do it?
That's right.
And you have this opportunity to be a role model around other people and to show them how great healthy Nutritarian food can be. So I'm saying share the love and gratitude for food, for healthy food, how good it can taste, how great you can make it. Bring out your best Nutritarian recipes, but don't forget your dietary skeleton. Stick with your dietary skeleton. That means that we've been trying to train people with for the last 10 years, and that is the dietary skeleton is a salad, a soup, and a bowl and a piece of fruit for lunch. Mm-hmm. A big salad with a healthy dressing. You stick to your diets through the holidays. Then your dinner, you have a fancier cooked vegetable dish, maybe some raw vegetable dip, and maybe a nice fruity or a nice more prepared dessert. And then we'll put these together for a holiday meal. And then when you can use soups for breakfast, you don't just have to have cereals and grains and bread for breakfast. You can have a squash soup or a pumpkin soup or an apple pumpkin cinnamon soup. But you get your flax seeds, your chia seeds in with your breakfast, and you have your berries in with your breakfast. You put pomegranates, cherries and berries in the soup or in the little bit of oats you're eating, whatever you're eating. So people have a plan of how to keep on, not to fall off the wagon in the holidays and keep on track. And then we're going to talk about my favorite recipes and what foods they can bring to the holiday dinners. You know what I mean? Right? We can do that right now.
I love that. I love that, Dr. Fuhrman. You are absolutely right. We need to set an example. No different than if you are in a room full of people who struggle with alcohol, or you don't sit there and give them alcohol, or sit there. You have to be cautious and conscientious that you're leading by example, and anything we do can set somebody off. And so what is your favorite recipe, Dr. Fuhrman, that is always at the holiday table?
Apple pie a la mode.
Tell us more about your apple pie.
Something like that, because I'll even my kids, and we just like apple crunch a la mode. It doesn't even have to be apple pie. I don't have to form it into a pie. We can just put cooked apples and the raisins and the cinnamon and the flax seeds and the chopped walnuts. We could put it on a base, or mix in a little bit of toasted crunch with oats and unshredded coconut, and a little, mixing it with a little date coconut roll. So we can make the apple pie just by stewing it or even baking it. It's now, if I go to pay, so you asked me what do I always make the apple. I'm always making an ice cream. Maybe I'm on the holidays, I'm making both chocolate and vanilla ice cream, or a mango sorbet, but usually my vanilla ice cream, my family loves vanilla ice cream. And for the holidays, I make it with real macadamia nuts. I actually take the time to crack fresh macadamia nuts because they're so incredibly sweet and delicious. And I mix them in with frozen bananas and real vanilla bean powder. That's the secret ingredient.
It is
the real vanilla bean powder, not the extract.
Yeah,
not fake vanilla or anything.
It is. You told me about that.
You try it for the holidays with real macadamia nuts, and the frozen bananas. You don't even need to put a date in there. You could if you wanted to, but it's so good just the way it is, and it's not even that sweet. You can put it in an ice cream maker, or you can just blend it up with like a hint of soy milk, or a hint of, if you want to get it blending better, in just the vitamin.
With the bananas.
You chop up the frozen bananas.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to put just like a touch of soy milk if it's having trouble blending. Use the plunger. And you put in all those ingredients, and you get it to the right consistency, like a soft ice cream. And if you want to make it in advance, you could freeze it. You know why you could keep it in the freezer? Because the macadamias add the fat to keep it creamy and fluffy. If you just had fruit in the freezer, it would form into like an ice ball. Yeah. But you could make this in advance. But the best is just to keep your bananas frozen and the macadamia, and keep everything else just out, and just make it fresh with the frozen bananas right there on the spot, and dollop it out on top of the apple pie. I'm gonna go out to here's the wild apple crunch on page 410.
Okay, let's
it's a very simple thing. It's just apples, walnuts, currants or raisins, cinnamon, nutmeg, and the juice of an orange. We just soak the raisins in the orange juice, mix it in with a chopped apple, stew it for 5 minutes. Or you can cook it in the oven at 375 they're cooking in the oven for like 40 minutes at 375.
Wow.
And then with the chopped walnuts. And then that you can mix in, and you put a little bit of chopped dates in there too. Or you can mix it. I like just to do that without the dates, and then to make the little chopped dates, or the date coconut roll, to mix with some oats and some unsweetened coconut flakes, and make that be the base. And then you have a little crunch to it, little oat balls in there. And then you have this wild apple crunch, and you could put anything you want in there. Wild blueberries, dried sour cherries are really good in there for a holiday. And then you put the ice cream on top of that. It's incredible.
It sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to getting that recipe. So I have to ask the question, and I always ask it, and I'm sorry, but I always giggle when I ask this question. But you're talking about macadamias, walnuts, and all that. Just recently, I heard that we don't need to soak our nuts. Do you soak your nuts? And when I say that, I'm talking about the macadamians.
No, you don't. No, you wouldn't even soak macadamia.
You don't soak walnuts or anything like that?
No, you could if you want to. It changes the nutritional profile slightly, but you don't have to soak. Most nuts just use straight. Sometimes if you make a creamy dish and you want it to be a little smoother, it's not. I don't see, if you have a Vitamix, it creams it so smooth anyway.
Yes.
Some of my chefs, they're working on making like the cream sauces, and they soak the cashews in the advance in soy milk to make them more creamy. But it still doesn't taste much different when you don't soak them in advance. If you're blending it well, you know what I mean?
So I was told that there was a coating around the nuts, especially if they're raw, that kills bugs when they bite them. And I've seen, many like lists of how long you should soak your nuts and each one. And so just recently I heard a doctor say that you don't need to soak your nuts. That's a myth, that you're not a bug and your stomach is not like a bug. And
some of those little chemicals that are so-called toxic, and those toxins in small amounts are actually good for our immune system. It actually has beneficial effects. There's too much concern about these little small amounts of toxins here and there that are naturally occurring. And in large amounts, yes, but in the small amounts on the surfaces of the nuts or something like that, it's nothing to be concerned about.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. With that being said, I said I was going to do the recipes first, but let's do, because it's nice to start with dessert, because that's how you get people. That's how you grab them in their heart. We got
to talk about how to make chocolate ice cream, because you make the chocolate ice cream. Don't forget the secret. For the non-holiday time, we make the nuts, we put walnuts in. But for holiday time, we change it with a more expensive nut to taste better. We put the macadamia nuts in.
Okay.
But for the chocolate ice cream, then we add the cocoa powder, which is more bitter. And then you have to add dates to the banana, medjool dates or coconut rolls, because you need a little more extra sweetener to counter the bitterness of the cocoa powder, the natural cacao or the cocoa, the natural cocoa unsweetened powder.
So is there a benefit to using cacao, cocoa, or what's the other one that's
cocoa nibs or
No, it's the one that doesn't have the it's it's carob.
Carob. Yeah, they're all good, but so we're using a non-alkalized so whatever it is, we're not eating those cocoa every single day. It doesn't, but we want to get an unsweetened cocoa powder. Some cocos are contaminated and not healthy, but we want to get the best quality one we can get. I actually have some on the website, but they don't have to use mine. They can buy it anywhere.
Okay, you do.
I do have one, because we source it and we try to find the best sourcing with it, not where it's tested for lead, and so we do a little extra effort getting better quality, but it's not going to affect the taste that much different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't checked your website lately for the food that you have, but do you happen to have rice? You should get your own. If you don't, you should get your own.
It's too expensive. The rice that's clean is so expensive that it's more than $10 a pound. The one that has no arsenic, that's grown on one of these. I think the Native Americans with canoes and bamboos they're hitting in the natural marshes, because it's no commercial fertilizer. There's no commercial rice paddies, and they haven't been growing they're growing in ancient protected lands. So those rices are super expensive. If I sold them, people would think they would say, $15 a pound for rice. He's trying to charge. I can't do it. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Let people just go to the rice company and search for it on the web and buy it there themselves.
Yeah. I also heard that the brown basmati rice from India had less arsenic in it. Have you heard
probably has less
that?
than the Chinese and the American arsenic, but it probably has less than Americans and Chinese United rice. But still, I wouldn't eat much rice anymore, just because it takes up arsenic more readily, and you can't trust the source. You can't, even in India, probably some are good and some are not good, but you don't even know what you're getting. Even if it says organic, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so then after the dessert, which is what captures people's attention, then what can we start with?
We usually start with a soup, but I usually always make mashed potatoes too.
Okay, let's talk about your mashed potatoes. How do you do your mashed potatoes?
I use mostly cauliflower. I fry onions, and I use some little chopped spinach in there too. I add some of the garlic nutter to it. The garlic nutter is made by roasting garlic and mixing it with some cashews and hemp seeds and a little soy milk. So I use the garlic nutter to add the soy milk, roasted garlic, and the hemp seeds to make it more creamy. I'll make the chopped cauliflower to add most of the substance. Then sometimes I'll add a little bit of rutabaga to it, but I'll add a little potato to it. I'll add like a small red potato, a fingerling potato. I might make it 20% potato and 80% cauliflower. In other words, we're making a mashed potato that tastes better than mashed potatoes, but it has the ingredients of the cruciferous. It's more nutrient rich. It's lower glycemic, because we're using less potato and more cauliflower. We're showing people how to make mashed potatoes that have that are not all potatoes, so you're getting more better nutrient exposure, and you're not getting as much high glycemic effect of the potato.
Now, what seasonings do you put in, and what do you use to make it creamy?
Well, the creamy is the garlic nutter with the roasted garlic, the cashews blended, and the hemp seeds blended with the soy milk.
Okay.
I'm going to the page from that. That's on cauliflower, spinach, mashed potatoes, is on page 337. And it has, in this recipe, they're just using cashew butter and hemp milk. And I don't do it that way. I make it with cashews and the hemp seeds blended with soy milk to make my own. Instead, this is easier, but just a little cashew butter in it.
Yeah.
It's easier, but I'm going to take the time maybe and make it with real cashews and hemp seeds mixed together and make my own cashew butter. And then they add nutmeg to it, a little bit of veggie zest. And the secret for the holidays, I'm changing this recipe up for the holidays. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fry onions. Mix it with fried onions. I'll tell you how I'm going to make the fried onions.
Air fryer? No,
on a pan.
Oh, okay.
Because when I fry onions for my regular use, I put a little water on the pan so they don't darken or burn. They don't get browned at all, and they're more healthier when you don't. So I'll put a quarter cup of water. I'll fry onions in a hot pan. I'll chop them up small. I'll toss them around. I'll get my fried onions that are glistening and translucent, and I'll use them on top of my dishes. I may on baked eggplant with some cinnamon and currants, and put the onions on top. That's my regular diet. Now my holiday diet is different.
Oh, what is that?
Because now I'm going to fry the onion in the pan in a dry skillet on a hot pan, make it really hot, and don't put any water in the pan.
No.
Take the onion that is chopped up finely and throw it on the hot pan. It'll sizzle, and use a wooden spatula or a wooden spoon to mix it around and let it brown a little bit, start to brown against the hot pan. It won't stick to the pan because the pan was super hot before you threw the onions on. It'll like bubble off the pan and you can mix it. If you do it on a pan that's not hot enough first, as it heats up, it'll stick to the pan. The onions will fall apart.
Yes.
Now we have onions for the holidays that you enrich the flavor because they're not translucent. They're a little bit of a tannish brown color now, and they taste more like fried onion more. They have a better flavor, but not quite as super healthy because we let them brown a little bit. But now we could use that in the mashed potatoes to really bring out and make a holiday flavor out of it.
Now, that sounds delicious. Now, the cauliflower, do you boil the cauliflower or do you just put it in raw?
It depends. You could use frozen cauliflower that you just put in, heat it up, and you could just chop it up, or we could use this raw cauliflower florets or chop the cauliflower, the S-blade, and then we're going to either parboil it for 3 minutes in the boiling water, or you could steam it, either one.
Okay, and then you put it in a food processor or the blender?
I put it in the food processor with the S-blade.
So it gives it a little bit more texture.
More texture. You don't want to blend it down so it's so smooth. You want to make it so you pulse it so it's a little lumpy, and you want little things to stick out, have a little texture to it. But you mix in the secret here is mixing in a little bit of potato with the cauliflower.
Yes.
And the quality of the potato matters. Yukon Gold, purple potatoes, fingerling potato. You get a little increased flavor in that. And there's other things I could do. I could mix trumpet mushrooms in there too. I could fry the trumpet mushrooms with the onion. There's all kinds of things we can make to make this a super holiday meal. That's what I call put on my fanciest duds, because I'm making my dishes a little extra fancy. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so when you're putting the onions and the mushrooms over it, most people, I don't like gravy. I've never really liked gravy. But do you have the equivalent of the gravy so that it feels more like comfort food for some people that aren't used to eating things as healthy as that?
Right.
Do you have an alternative for gravy?
No, I don't. But we could make a pesto gravy real fast in our head right now. All you need to do is take the garlic nutter, the garlic mixed with the cashews and the hemp seeds and the sauce, and mix a little bit of basil, mix a little fresh basil in with it, and maybe a squeeze of lemon and a little bit of mustard, and you could thin it with soy milk, and you can make a basil topping, a green basil coating on top of the serving of cauliflower baked with mashed potato. You
need to replay this again because that sounds delicious. If you just made that up, then that sounds really delicious for your next recipe book. That is.
I have about 2,000 recipes on drfuhrman.com, and the members rate them. They rate the recipes they like the best, which brings us to the most favorite recipe from the members is a healthy Nutritarian Caesar for the salad dressing. Okay. So I'll bring it. So I'll usually use this. So during the week, I'll make more of an orange sesame dressing, but I'm not going to take the time to make a Caesar dressing with all those various ingredients. But on the holidays, I'm going to make this Nutritarian Caesar that has all these special ingredients in it. And it may have a little bit of low salt miso mixed in, a little bit of nutritional yeast, and a little bit of kelp to bring out that Caesar flavoring. I'll tell you the page where that's on in this book too. And then I'll put I'll make croutons. Here it is. That's on page 289. Roasted garlic, and you could use the garlic nutter as part of this.
Okay.
Nutritional yeast, fresh lemon, Dijon mustard, a little bit of low sodium miso, a little bit of, and you can put a little bit of tofu in there if you want, and you can put a little bit of celery in there if you want, and you add, and the secret ingredient, of course, is the kelp, the nutritional yeast, and the miso, which brings out that Caesar flavor.
Yes.
The cashews and the hemp seeds, the kelp, the miso, and the nutritional yeast. And don't forget, we're always using non-fortified nutritional yeast. It doesn't have the folic acid in it, because folic acid's a cancer promoter. And I, of course, have the non-fortified nutritional yeast at drfuhrman.com.
Okay.
If people can't find it locally, they can't find it in the local stores, non-fortified, and a little bit of black pepper. So we make this really great cashew, hemp seed, Caesar dressing that people love. It always gets 5-star ratings. And we toss that in a salad. And now in my salad on the holidays, I'm going to make it a little differently, because I'm probably going to take some tomato, and I'm going to take some soaked sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaked to made soft for little flavor bursts in there. And I'm going to make croutons. People like that crunchy crouton in the salad. So I'm going to take my bread, my favorite bread, which is probably a Food for Life Ezekiel bread, a low sodium bread. I'm going to put it in the oven on the lowest level of toast, the lightest toast. But I'm going to let it in the toaster oven, so it stops toasting. So it's still it's not browned. It's just like a little toasted. And I'll give it a minute and turn the oven and toast it again. So I'll toast it 2 times on very light toast, not once on a heavier toast, because then you'll brown and darken the bread.
Yes.
We're toasting it very over and over again on a very light toast, so the bread becomes hard and crunchy without getting browned.
Wow.
So now I take the hard and crunchy bread and I chop it up into little croutons, and I have my healthy croutons in the salad, put my Caesar dressing on top, and throw in the little pearls of sun-dried tomato. And I've got and real fresh tomato, and of course red onion and scallion and the romaine lettuce and whatever it is you want to put in there. And you have a great dressing to toss it around. And people saying, wow, this is fantastic. This can't be a healthy dressing. And it's a super healthy dressing.
Wow. And that recipe is in that book.
It is. And it's also on the website, because on the website, the members rate the recipes and give it a rating. And I know that always gets the top 5-star rating. So I know it's on the website as well as in the book.
So for those of you who are tuning in just after we started the classroom, Dr. Fuhrman is giving away 3 books of Eat for Health. All the recipes he's talking about today are in the Eat for Health book. And for those of you who would like a free copy, we're giving away 3 free copies. I think I'm going to claim one of those. So we're giving away 2. And all you have to do is go to my instant message on Facebook and say, I want this book. I'll put your name in a little giveaway basket, and we're going to pick 3 people at random. I think one of them is going to be me. I don't know, but I just think it's going to be me. But anyway, so for those of you who are wanting a free copy of this book, get started, because I'm going to allow 24 hours, and then I'll pick the name. So if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube later on, or podcast, then you too can register. Go to Lillian's radio show at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show, or you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please subscribe. Check out my sponsors. I need to talk about my sponsors before we move on, because I am very grateful. It's all about Thanksgiving, and we need to give thanks. And some of these wonderful sponsors, like Liberty Health Share, Keep Me Safe Organics, which is beauty products that are all organic, non-synthetic, and just absolutely phenomenal. From head to toe, I'm covered with Keep Me Safe Organics. First Alternative Care. We have Dr. Stephen Grable in Jacksonville, Florida, who's an integrative MD. And also we have the pharmacy in Merritt Island that does compounding, not only for humans, but for fur-legged friends. And then we have Live Longer Medical, Ground Therapy, which I am absolutely obsessed with. And you too can be an enrolled student of the classroom. So check out our sponsors and support them the way that they're supporting the class. Now, I want to go back to Dr. Fuhrman. Dr. Fuhrman, do you do you do for people that are coming to your home that would like the traditional turkey? What can you offer someone who wants that feel or that texture or that taste?
We you want that meaty, chewy taste, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think all of us should have dehydrators. They're not that expensive. You can get them for like $100. And I can dehydrate extra firm tofu and put different sauces on it so it comes out chewy like a hard meat. Or I can even dehydrate it more to make it like a beef jerky. People like something hard to chew on, and and it's fantastic, to have these tofu sticks. So I'll take the tofu. It comes in a square block, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I cut it through the block so the face of the piece is big as possible. I have 5 different giant blocks now, giant pizza-like things of tofu. I line them up on the dehydrator so they're lined against each other closely. So when I fill tomato sauce on top of them, the tomato sauce won't run off the block into the crack. And now I'll dehydrate at 120 degrees for about 6 hours so the tomato sauce flattens down into the tofu. And then I'll put another coating of tomato sauce on top. Now, don't forget, I use a thicker tomato sauce than most commercial tomato sauces anyway. I make my own, and if I'm buying a commercial tomato sauce, it's more watery and not as flavorful. Chop up some of your sun-dried organic tomatoes and drop them in the jar so they absorb the moisture and thicken up the tomato sauce.
A great tip. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then you can take the tomato sauce, you can heat it a little bit and blend it, and you can partially blend it or partially put in the food processor to chew up those little sun-dried tomato pieces. Or you can put the sun-dried tomatoes in whole, and then once they get softened by absorbing the from the liquid in the tomato sauce, put them in the S-blade, put them in the Vitamix, chop them up so they're not pureed. You want them still to be a little lumpy in there, and then you have a much thicker, more delicious tomato sauce. It's not as watery, with much more flavor. You put it on the tofu pizza. After 6 hours of dehydrating, you put another layer of tomato sauce on top. So it dries out and gives you a much thicker tomato coating on the tofu. And I like to dehydrate it for like 10 hours, another 5 hours, because I want it to be I like it really hard. Even my dog loves it. It's like a bone. But you can, for like 13 hours. But in any case, you can adjust the level of dehydration so it's somewhat chewy. And these are great to put out as hors d'oeuvres or something, so people can take and chew on. So it's like serving, lamb chops. It's like going around and serving lamb chops. We're going around serving these tofu chops or tofu jerky or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I understand. So you're taking the square and you're holding it this way. You're cutting it. You're not cutting it because let's say this is the tofu. Instead of cutting it this way or this way, you're cutting it right down the.
That's correct. I'm cutting it with the biggest exposed surface area. Then I'm laying it edge to edge on the dehydrator. So I'm making a big flat surface, and I'm cutting 5 squares out of that one tofu block.
To
make 5 pieces out of it, because 4 pieces are too thick. 5 pieces are the perfect thickness.
Mm-hmm.
And then and as it shrinks and dehydrates, you'll have a gap between the tofus now, because the gap will open up. But the tomato sauce will harden, so it won't drip through. And then you put a little bit more tomato sauce on, but not so it runs off. And then you keep dehydrating it. And then after it's done, you could take a sharp knife or a chopper, and you can slice it and make strips out of it, or you can just serve it cut in half or break. You can serve it in smaller strips. Right?
Very nice. And all you put is the tomato sauce. That's all you put in.
Yeah, but we have different sauces that we make different sauces on it too. I like that the thickened tomato sauce and the tofu the best.
Mm-hmm.
I travel with it. I take them with me when I travel on places. I put them in my bag, in a plastic bag, in my pocket. It's like to me, those are great. And I miss on a Nutritarian diet, what people miss and what I miss is something hard to chew. Everything's soft and mushy. I don't want everything soft and mushy. I want something I really got to chew on, work my teeth, So that's why I love this stuff.
Yeah. And where is Petey today? Petey has not made the appearance because he's trying to steal your thunder.
Petey is on a plane right now. Is on a plane flying from New Jersey to San Diego, and I'm picking my wife, my son, and my dog up at the airport at 6:30. It's only like 2:30. And
yes, and before we leave today, I want you to give them a sneak peek of what you're seeing outside. You're in the new facility. It's just
I'm in my new facility, but of course, as you know, it's pouring rain here in San Diego.
Which it never rains in California. Look at that.
My beautiful infinity pool, right? You see
yes.
The pool and some of my exotic plants out there, right? And you could see in the distance the sand volleyball. Oh, let me go over this way.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's huge. That's a big property right there. That
Oh,
is,
you can't see because down the hill is a much more where you can't see over the ridge of the pool. I have a couple of acres there with macadamia nut trees and mango orchard and
wow.
Pakistani mulberries. And so I have a disc golf course. Do you see over there those discs?
Yes,
You can
yes.
see the disc where you throw the discs in on that
That's
stuff.
fun. How many, do you just go back and forth or do you actually have how
No,
many?
I have a 9-hole disc golf course down
Nine
there
hole.
around the macadamia nut trees.
And now if we go further, you can see the ocean from there too?
The ocean is, yes, you can little slip of ocean that direction, but it's very cloudy and raining. And my other side of the house is where I have my fruit orchard and the vegetable garden out the other side. This is just the backyard, you know what I mean?
That's
But
beautiful.
yeah, it is
And
gorgeous.
all of you can go to the Eat to Live Retreat Center. This is their new facility. It's larger than their first one that they built because everybody is loving to go there. So
You see that little blue? You see that little blue?
yeah, what is that? What is that?
That's an electronic, battery operated, that lowers a person who can't comfortably walk down the steps in the pool. They can sit on that. It'll pick them up, even if they weigh 300 pounds or 350 pounds,
Yeah.
and it'll swing out and lower them into the heated pool. So if they can't walk down the steps by themselves.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that kind of cool?
It is not kind of cool. It is absolutely cool. I am looking forward to going there and visiting. Okay, so Dr. Fuhrman, Robert, if you can keep me posted if there's any questions. I do have some questions. Do we have the main meal for the Thanksgiving table? What is that for you, Dr. Fuhrman?
Yes, let's go to that. Oh, we didn't do the soup yet. We got to give a nice apple, cinnamon, butternut squash, or pumpkin soup for the Thanksgiving.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
So it's apples and cinnamon and squash, either butternut squash or pumpkin. You take the apples, obviously, chopped kale, chopped onion, little pomegranate vinegar is the secret ingredient, carrot juice and soy milk mixed together. You blended a little cashews or you mash in some cashew butter. You put the cinnamon and nutmeg in there. And of course, you have the squash and pumpkin and the apples and this. It's really delicious. And the leftover apple, cinnamon, or pumpkin apple soup, we eat for breakfast. We make it into breakfast soup. We have soup for breakfast. Put flax seeds in or chia or hemp seeds in it. Put blueberries in it. Or you know what I like to put in? I like to put in you know what I love? I love sour dried cherries. No ingredients, organic sour dried cherries. You plop them in a soup, and they're sour, but they're just called sour. They're not real sweet cherries, but there's still a touch of sweetness to them.
Wow.
But they give that cherry crunch and that hardness, that chewiness in the soup where you hit one, but it's been soaked in the soup. So it's softened to a degree, like it's not like a real dried fruit, but not as soft as it. So it has a great consistency to drop. So if people want to make this even more special for the holidays, order off of some food website or Amazon, unsweetened organic dried cherries, incredibly, or nuts.com, I think you can get them from.
So unsweetened, dried.
Unsweetened. They're sour cherries.
Sour.
Right? Dried sour cherries.
Okay.
Those are like, I shouldn't even be telling people about them because they'll buy them up and I won't be, they're so good.
Now, do you ever use that for your ice cream?
Yeah, well, I could, but usually if I'm making a cherry ice cream, I'm using real frozen sweet cherries. We do make a lot of cherry,
that's my
cherry
favorite.
ice cream. Oh, and then a lot of people like the Black Forest cream of mushroom soup on Thanksgiving.
Ooh, Black Forest cream of mushroom? What's in that?
Well, you have a mixture of different types of mushrooms, button, shiitake, and cremini all sliced. And you have a lot of garlic, herbs, carrot juice, hemp seeds, onions, carrots, corn kernels, leeks that are blended in, lemon juice, cashews, thyme, rosemary, beans, and baby spinach, and parsley. So it's really you're putting a lot of mushrooms in the soup. So we're really cooking it down. So it's very mushroomy, but we have with the onion and the oleander and the spices, and you can make it with just a hint, of maybe a little bit with the thyme and rosemary. You always talk about Simon and Garfunkel, right? When you fresh on mushroom soup. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, right?
Yes.
You remember that song?
Absolutely,
Parsley,
I do.
sage, rosemary, and thyme, and that's what you put in the mushroom soup, of course. Those are the slices you put in there.
Love it. I love it. Those are great. Ever since I met you, I started making soups. Every week I have soup. And now I'm getting creative. I'm just throwing things in there, understanding the flavors and how they blend together. And then you realize, gosh, this is really good because you can just heat it up. you have it there for the entire week, and you heat it up when you want it. You can have for lunch, you can have for dinner, and it's so, you can freeze it. I've done my broth and I freeze it. So good.
Exactly. You know what? You work on the holidays, you make these fancy recipes that taste great, and then you have leftovers for the next couple of weeks, and you eat healthy food that you made. So you're sharing good tasting healthy food, and you get to eat the healthy food, which shores up your resolve, keeps you on track for the holidays. We always say for the holidays, remember I said put on your fancy duds? The next one is build your fortress. Build your fortress. You know what that means is fortify your house by getting all the junk out of the house, no temptation, make a lot of healthy foods, store them in your freezer and your refrigerator, make your garlic nutter, make sure you have your ice cream, make sure you have macadamia nuts, make sure you have all these healthy things. So when you're having holiday people all come over and you're having holiday, you're making really delicious food for the holidays that's healthy. So you build your fortress, you remove temptation, and you fortify your family. You fortify your family by reviewing with them. You have family get-togethers to discuss food, so you're all going to support each other to be healthy through the holidays and help each other to cook and prepare the food and talk about what you're learning from Dr. Fuhrman and Lillian, and you fortify your family. You talk about things of how you want to stay healthy through the holidays. You don't want to gain weight over the holidays. You don't want to sabotage your health in the holidays.
You just want to be healthy.
Put a little extra the care and time where everybody helping to support each other. We all keep each other on track eating healthy. We all help each other cook and make these delicious recipes that are healthy as well.
That's
what
awesome.
we talk about.
Awesome.
Right? We talk about, let's review those things. We talk
Yes.
about learn your dietary skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Find your fanciest duds. Goodwill for others by being a role model, of course. Role model means you've got to be loving, not critical, and you have to be a role model to be affect other people to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Build your fortress and fortify your family. All those things we have to do through the holidays. We have to get an ally in the fight against junk food. And the best ally is to have an ally in your family to join you. You have to get your ally. If you don't have an ally in your family, you have to find an ally outside of the family.
Yeah.
You don't want to be alone in this way of holiday thinking. If you don't have anybody who's in your family or friends circle to be an ally, then you have to get an ally over the internet. You can't be alone being thinking about healthy eating. It has to be there has to be some involvement with other people, connectivity with other people who are going to support you being healthy through the holidays.
Yeah. And, and I will add to that, Dr. Fuhrman, family is important. It's important to you. It's important to me. And sometimes your family is the last one to kind of join your journey. And bringing your own food and eating your own food, if that's what you have to do at the beginning, eventually time will go by. They'll try your food and they'll eventually join you, especially if they get a diagnosis. Unfortunately, that's the journey for many of trying healthy food is when they get a diagnosis and you're there. Instead of saying, see, I told you, you can just love them. You can love them to where you're at.
Wait till you get lung cancer and then quit smoking. That's really bright. Wait till you get heart disease and then come off the heart disease. Cut out the salt after you have brain damage or whatever. Okay, back to the recipes.
Happy holidays.
I can't help myself. I can't help yelling at people.
Okay, so the main meal. Now that we have our soups, and by the way, I just want to remind everybody we're giving away 3 books. Where Dr. Fuhrman's giving away the book called Eat for Health. Show it up, Dr. Fuhrman. Eat for Health. Everybody has a chance. So everybody send me a message or you can text me at 407-373-5959.
And all these holiday recipes are mostly in this book because this was the early book where I used all my favorite recipes. Now, listen, we usually have a meatloaf.
Yes.
Some kind of meatloaf. So here's where we pull out our fanciest duds again.
Nice.
Because we're making a lentil loaf, but the fancy duds are artichoke hearts. Because artichoke hearts taste fantastic, but they're a pain to make. You got to get 1 million artichokes to get enough hearts. Yeah. So we can use a combination of fresh and frozen. But in this case, we're using, I may use it with frozen artichoke hearts, but over the holidays, I'm going to use a lot of fresh artichoke. I'm going to buy and take the time to get, 10 artichokes, cut them in half, remove the choke, steam them for 18 minutes.
What's the choke? The
choke is that little peach fuzz inside. There's peach fuzz and some inside plastic leaves. You cut like a moon cut in the base. So you throw away the inedible part, which is the choke, leaving the heart, the artichoke heart, and the stem. Okay. Ripping off the top.
What about the leaves? Because I see a lot of people dipping the leaf and eating the leaf.
Yes, but you could take a butter knife or a spoon, and you could pull the artichoke, the edible part, off the inner leaves, or we use as part of the choke. We can blend right in there, but the outer leaves that are harder and tougher, you can scrape. The people put them in their teeth to scrape it off. You could scrape it off with a spoon or a butter knife to scrape the edible portion if you want to take that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to add enough, like maybe, 8, 4 artichokes, 8 artichoke halves, mixed with a box of frozen artichoke. Then I'm going to cook that with my lentil loaf. It adds an incredible texture and flavor to the lentil loaf for the holiday. A little more work involved, but it's even healthier. Artichokes are a great diet food. I mean, they're high in protein. They're high in nutrients. They taste great with nothing on them. You don't have to put any sauce or any special seasoning. Artichokes just taste great the way they are. They're like, it's good bear with no makeup.
Okay, so
here we have diced onion, minced garlic, chopped mushrooms, diced celery, parsley, a little bit of like a poultry seasoning.
mm-hmm.
You have the 1.5 cups of cooked lentils that you cooked on. You can cook them, or you can use canned lentils or in the box lentils. We put rolled oats and chopped pecans in there, and we put the tomato paste with chopped sun-dried tomatoes soaked in the tomato paste. And then you use my tomato zest seasoning with
mm-hmm.
a little bit of maybe Mrs. Dash.
Mm-hmm.
Tomato zest is one of my seasons, has a tomato flavor. We like that heavy tomato flavoring that contrasts with the artichoke and lentils to make a great, and the mushroom with the poultry seasoning tastes really great.
My mouth is watering right now.
And you can bake, you bake this in the oven at 350, and I like to make it so it's laid out in a pan that's thin. Not make it like a loaf the size of a loaf of bread.
Oh, so you want to make it in a larger pan instead of a loaf pan?
Yeah, so I want to make it a larger pan because I like it when the outside of the loaf hardens and gets more crispy.
Cool.
So it's like the dark part of the meat and the soft inner part of the meat. So I cook, so it gives me more crust, more artichoke loaf crust, because I have more exposed surface area in a smaller size, in a loaf that's not as piled up, and make it a little flatter in the pan. So
how big a serving is that, Dr. Fuhrman? Because you're saying 1.5 cups of lentil. Of course, do you cook those, or do you put it? This is cooked lentils that are going. Cooked lentils. Canned lentils or cooked lentils that are going in the loaf with the artichokes, and the artichokes have been cooked too. And then we're mixing with the tomato sauce, the spices, the raw pecans, the chopped mushrooms. You could make a little breadcrumb in there if you wanted to make the breadcrumbs from the Ezekiel bread, the Ezekiel healthy breadcrumbs. You could mix it in there with tomato zest. We put a little arrowroot powder in to make it stick better. Mm-hmm. Even better than whole wheat flour. It makes it hold together like a loaf better with the arrowroot powder. Okay. There's other ways you can do it, but that's a good way. We just use a couple of tablespoons of arrowroot flour. What about chia? What about soaked chia? Because that gives it an eggy kind of feel.
Yes, yeah.
Or flax. Yeah. Okay, good.
But I like the arrowroot powder because the chia is adding a certain flavor or texture to it. This doesn't add any texture; it just makes it
it congeals
and hard. And I want it to be more hard and not like soft and mushy. I don't want it to be like a mash. I want it to be like a piece of meat and have some mass to it. Yes. So I think the arrowroot holds it together tighter.
It sounds great. Now, when you
cook it a long time because we want it to harden it. So you cook it at low temperature, like 300, 325 for like 45 to 50 minutes. So you can really get it to be a nice thick and crunchy loaf.
That sounds delicious. Now, I have some questions, because when you talk about getting tomato paste, a lot of people buy their tomato paste, and you've said many times in the past that you don't want anything that has tomato that comes in a can. You want it to be glass, right?
You buy it from glass, right?
Glass. And then the next thing I want to alert people is that when they buy, the stuff from the grocery store, they need to look at the sodium content. When I buy tomato paste or tomatoes, I buy it with 0. It's just tomatoes.
Right, just plain tomatoes, nothing else. Just the tomatoes, no other ingredients.
They have
by the way, in this book, of course, is a holiday recipe we use all the time, but it's called the Dr. Fuhrman chocolate cake. Ooh. It's the famous Dr. Fuhrman chocolate cake is in this book. That's a phenomenal recipe. If you have the time,
black beans, right?
The recipe. I'm not going to do it that much because it has a lot of ingredients. It's not. Oh, it's called a healthy chocolate cake on page 400. Page 400. That's a good spot for it.
Okay.
A lot of ingredients. It's got whole wheat flour and dates and pineapple chunks and banana and applesauce and shredded beets and shredded carrots and shredded zucchini and cocoa powder and dried currants and walnuts, vanilla extract, making an incredibly delicious cake, a chocolatey cake that has pineapple and carrots and beets in it. And it really has a fantastic moisture to it. The carrots and beet and the whole wheat flour makes a fantastic cake.
You shred it? Do you shred it before you put it together?
They're all shredded. And then you have an icing. It could be an avocado chocolate ice cream or nut icing. Here's an icing made with cashews or macadamia nuts, but you could also make it with avocado, with dates and cocoa powder and lightly toasted hazelnuts. And then here's the natural non-alkalized cocoa powder that we sell with some vanilla extract. But this has vanilla extract because the book was written a few years back. My more recent recipe books will switch out the vanilla extract and in place use the same amount of real vanilla bean powder instead.
Yes, that was such a great tip that I received from you, gosh, many years ago.
You bought that stuff, right?
I did. I went on the same day that we talked about it. I went online and you just search it, make sure it's organically, that it's sustainably sourced, or that mine is organic. I can't remember the brand off the top of my head, but I just ran out. It lasts such a long time. And that must have been 3 years ago.
It lasts, right. It's expensive, but it's worth it because it's also really super healthy, real ground vanilla beans.
Yes.
It's like an anti-cancer food. Instead of using a junk food flavoring, using an anti-cancer flavoring. And it tastes really fantastic.
Amazing. And you can add that to your desserts. You can add it to your oatmeal. You can add it to, it's just so versatile. And when you have it dry like that and powdered, it almost activates it, and there's no alcohol in it. It's not I see people buying the expensive organic, vanilla, but it's not even real compared to the powder. It's amazing. It's
right.
amazing.
So I think we get the Madagascar kind.
I can't remember. Is that the brand, Madagascar?
The Madagascar brand. I think it comes from Madagascar. Or maybe it's just a brand that has real Madagascar vanilla bean or something like that.
Yeah, I just know that it's very, very strong. And what I remember the first time I used it, I just put a teaspoon of it and it was just so strong. And I read the formula or whatever, the conversion table, that 1 teaspoon equates to a 1/4 teaspoon on mine, the one I bought. And so now I just put just like a little dash in it, and unless I'm making vanilla ice, nice cream, then I'll use a little bit more. But that is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so anything else, Dr. Fuhrman? Because I don't know if we're going to get to questions today, because the food is so, maybe after the podcast, we can have a few questions that we have, that I have already, that have already been asked. So
I think they got some food ideas. So now they just got to put them into action, and we can take questions now.
Okay, so just to remind you, if you want a chance to win this book, there's 3 books that are going to be given away. Then all you need to do is send me an instant message, and we're going to put you in a random drawing, and I'm going to draw 3 people. And those people, I'm going to give you 24 hours. So if you're watching on YouTube later on, or podcast later on, or maybe you stumble upon it on Facebook later on, 24 hours, and I will take all your names and I will put it in a little basket, and I'll have Robert randomly pull it out. So you have an opportunity. Okay, so the contest. Thanks. Okay, so you got the contest. The contest is just send your name on. Make sure you like and follow the Lillian McDermott Radio Show website, the whenyouneedafriend.com. Go to Facebook at Lillian's Radio Show, and make sure that you're a part of the tribe, that we're trying to change the world one bite at a time. So, or change yourself, because when you change yourself, you change the world. So, okay, Dr. Fuhrman, the first question. Thank you so much, Dr. Fuhrman. This is wonderful to be able to get an idea of what's on your dinner table. And I'm sure that around the dinner table is laughter and joy and health and just such abundance. So I'm thrilled to kind of have that visual of you and your family. So thank you for that. Okay, so the first question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I'm having Thanksgiving with my family here. My whole family is going to be here at the retreat, with of course, the retreat guests too. And it's a great time to show gratitude for the food, not the people who made the food, the people who grew the food, the people who planted the food, the people who made the seeds of the food, and also the aesthetic miracle of natural foods, how they heal our body and protect us. You know
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to continue the conversation. So if you're listening on podcast, just know that you can join us on YouTube and Facebook Live anytime you want. And so we're going to continue our conversation and answer some of your questions after. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Fuhrman wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, you ready? Ready for some questions? And those of you who are watching today, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can type in a Q and write your question down. If you don't type in a Q, we won't know that you're asking a question. So the first question that I have is from Grace Collins. She says, I don't have a serious kidney issue, but enough to try your kidney protocol on your website. I still have about 25 pounds to lose, and with the kidney protocol, it really limits greens and beans, which I have always read is the key to weight loss. Will I still be successful? That's what she wants to know.
She doesn't need to follow the kidney protocol unless her creatinine is elevated, because the reason we're limiting greens and beans is to keep potassium lower, because a kidney patient has to lower the potassium in their diet. If her potassium is normal and her creatinine is not too bad, she doesn't need to limit the greens and beans. And all she'd have to do is just follow my regular weight loss protocol or diabetic protocol, because she only has a moderate amount of kidney function loss. You know what I mean? So I'm saying it's more people with advanced kidney problems that have to go and limit those foods. So that's fine. She doesn't have to do that.
Great. Okay, perfect. Okay, the next question is, you had mentioned, Dr. Fuhrman, a while ago, something called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And they want to know, they want to remain anonymous. How do you get it and how can you reverse it? How do you acquire that?
I'm sorry, but I can't answer that question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question.
Okay.
It's also called Lou Gehrig's disease, and it's probably exposure to some toxins. It might be some genetic. It's theories. I don't really know how to do it. Know what causes it. I know that the patients I've had that have come to me and followed a Nutritarian diet, we think that it slowed their progress, and they reported that they didn't follow the traditional trajectory of deterioration as quickly, or they were able to have prolonged their survival until their disease advanced, and they think it helped them tremendously. But I have no proof of that. We have no control group. I don't know that this person, limited number. So I wish you all the best and hope that you do the right thing. And certainly what I'm saying right now is that a Nutritarian diet, this degree of nutritional excellence, is going to help anything, but with certain things that are not totally reversible. You know what I mean? So I haven't seen a case reverse itself.
Okay. And what about for people who have muscle loss that's just from, you lose it or use it, or use it or lose it? People that want to gain muscle, what is your best advice for them?
To lift weights, but also to increase. So a Nutritarian diet is a vegan type diet or a plant-based diet with that's very excellent attention to protein adequacy. And we have a lot of athletes doing this, and they use hemp seeds, sunflower seeds, Mediterranean pine nuts, broccoli, quinoa, and dried soybeans that are soaked and cooked into recipes. Mm-hmm. People forget the fact, not tofu here, they forget the fact that one of the most anti-cancer beans you could eat that's great for athletes is to not just eat edamame and tempeh, but actually buy dried soybeans and cook them into chilies and dishes and make them in soups and add them all over the place, because they're great for muscle building to cook with your dried soybean.
Yeah, and we want to make sure the soybean is non-GMO, correct?
Organic meat, right. If you're using organic, it has to be organic, and that means non-GMO if it's organic.
Correct. Okay, so this, I don't know their name. It's 6 String 1. They said the diabetes book was written in 2012. Is it all still relevant? Is there any updates or an updated version to that? And is there anything new since then with diabetes?
There's some new things in that field, but it doesn't change the dietary recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
There is some new science to support my recommendations even more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't change the diet. There's some things I could have added to the book to give them more scientific studies documenting the efficacy of this approach. But that doesn't change the approach. So
Correct.
that book is still valid. Did I realize it already 2012? I wrote the book. It seems like it was just a few years ago.
That's what they said. Yeah, I know.
That book is updated. It's one of my New York Times bestsellers, The End of Diabetes.
Wow.
And it should be on. It's a book that everybody should read because diabetes is ravishing our country. Destroying our country.
Absolutely. And there are
everybody who's not diabetic should understand that the information in the book. And all the type 1 diabetics have to read that book.
Correct.
Because type 1 is a death sentence. And if you don't know the way to eat for type 1, it's not going to cure your type 1, but it'll make you have a normal life to 95 years old and not have diabetes, your type 1 diabetes kill you. The combination of conventional medical care, the excessive use of insulin with the way people are eating is so lifespan shortening and destructive for a type 1. So I'm just putting a plug in that recommend people read that book, Type 1, all the Type 1 and Type 2s.
Yeah, well, I want to acknowledge there was a guy that I was down in, I think it was West Palm or Boca a long time ago, and I met you there. You had a gathering, and a gentleman got up, and he said he was type 1 because they were talking about the book, The End of Diabetes. And he got up and he said that he was a type 1. I don't know if you remember this. He said he was a type 1 diabetes and he followed your protocol. And he uses very little. He said he's reduced the insulin drastically. And so he wanted to say that even if you have type 1, this is a great solution for people that don't want to take as much insulin.
Type 1s get rid of 2/3 of their insulin.
Yes.
They get rid of almost 2/3 of their insulin. It's phenomenal. They don't have highs and lows anymore. They feel great. They can exercise. They don't have to carry sugar cubes or candy with them or take fruit. They don't get low drops anymore. They're without being too high. It really is life-saving for them.
Yes, yes. And I want to thank all of you who are sticking around to listen to Dr. Fuhrman. You've asked, who was it? For those of you who have asked what the Gail, all you need to do is send me an instant message on at Lillian's radio show. Just send me a message saying that you want a copy of this book. And the book is Eat for Health. Dr. Fuhrman, why don't you be my Vanna White today? Dr. Fuhrman is my Vanna White because this is one of the books that I do not have that I am going to get. Okay, so it's Eat for Health. If you want to get this book, we're giving away 3. Dr. Fuhrman is. And I'm going to take all your names for the next 24 hours. And then the winner, there you go. You look at those hands. Look at those hands. Nutritarian hands. Okay, so what you guys, all you need to do is send me a message. Make sure that you have liked me and followed me on my page. And all the names will be drawn at random. All the names will be put in a basket. And 3 names will be drawn at random. So everybody has a chance to win. So if it's not normally I say the 17th caller or whatever, everybody has a chance. So if you want a copy of this book, give it a try. Send me a message. Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, from Beverly Martin, if we're not overweight, can we use a little oil?
If you're not overweight, can you use a little oil? Well, here's the way you use a little oil. Because don't forget, oil stops lipolysis. When you use even a little bit of oil, it interferes tremendously with your weight loss. So, but you can, if you're not overweight, you want to make your broccoli taste a little sweeter for the holidays, or you can take a little oil and put it on your hand, and then you take the teaspoon of oil on your hand, you pat your hand together, and now you rub down the broccoli, you rub down the vegetable, you rub down the string bean, you rub down the zucchini, you rub it down with the oil, and then you steam it, or you bake it, or you cook it, and you're not frying it, but you just coated it very lightly with oil. It gives it a much more flavorful and tasty effect. We're still not going to use oil in large amounts, like a tablespoon poured on our food, or cooking food in oil. We're just still going to use, if you want to use oil to enhance the flavor of a vegetable, you're just using tiny, tiny amounts. And we still, don't forget, nuts and seeds are the G-bomb. Nuts and seeds are the bomb. In other words, they make you live longer. Oil doesn't make you live longer. So you really want to get your fat from nuts and seeds. If you're using
Yeah.
oil, special occasion, very sparingly, not in large amounts.
Yes. Okay. So I'm getting text as well. So if you guys want to text 407-373-5959. I love, Dr. Fuhrman, that seeds are a part of the combination. I love it. And people ask me all the time, well, why don't you have oil? Why don't you have oil? Well, I always tell them that I do have oil. When I eat the olive, the oil is in the olive. Or when I have a nut, the oil is in the nut. When I have a seed, the oil is in the seed. People, we don't even see that it's the whole food and that we're still getting it. Now, with that,
you can't do both. You can't have the seed and the oil. You're getting too much fat and too much calories. You got to choose one or the other. You want to have the avocado oil, the avocado, the pecan oil, the pecan, the sunflower. It's always, the whole food is always where the money's at, where the health benefits come from.
And do you want to share why? Because I know you've talked about this a bajillion times, but for anybody who's new, the benefits of eating the whole seed or the whole nut or the whole avocado instead of just the oil. Can you share the
Lily, I can do it, but I have to wrap up and leave.
Okay.
Waiting, so I can do this.
Okay, that's true. That's right. Okay. So you know what? Check out some of the old shows and you'll be able to get that answer to that. Okay.
Next time we'll do it.
Okay, the next time we'll talk about oil. Okay, KJ wants to know, is there any significance difference between golden flax seeds and brown flax seeds?
They're both, just like you want to eat different kinds of mushrooms, they're both excellent.
Okay.
So you just want to, but when you get your flax seeds and you grind them, store them in the freezer so they stay fresh once they're ground.
Very good. Very good. So this is great. Dr. Fuhrman, always a pleasure. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And I wish you that when you look around the table, you are filled with love and laughter and joy. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you.
Best of health and much happy holidays to everybody, and same to you and all the people here.
That's right. Thank you. And for those of you, and Dr. Fuhrman, you can go ahead and go. I'll just say goodbye to everybody. Go ahead and send a instant message at Lillian's radio show on Facebook Live, and your name will be drawn at random. So make sure that for the next 24 hours, tell your friends, and we'll take it. They need to make sure that they like and follow the Lillian McDermott radio show on Facebook. It's Lillian's radio show. You're on it right now. All you have to do is hit like and follow. And so I wish you all love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance for this day and always. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you continue to tune in long after the holidays. So we'll see you for now. Take care.